Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, most every Tuesdays at about this time, coming off the trip to Provo, the loss to Brigham Young, Texas State this weekend, and a few things to get to play catch-up as well. Mack, I have to start, obviously, I would be remiss not to. I know that the timeline of Ken Starr at Baylor was before he left, before you took over as the Director of Athletics. Did you ever have any conversations or meet him at all?
Yeah, I did. And, obviously, prayers are with Alice and the family, and just a really, really sad day for the Baylor family. I had an opportunity, or a couple opportunities, to have interaction and meet him, initially, and then, second time visiting with him. And, I think what stands out most as I think about those two at least interactions were just his enthusiasm and his personality, and just how genuine he was. Genuinely happy for me, and excited about the things that we were doing in athletics, and very complimentary. And he, I remember him he grabbed both of my cheeks and said he was so proud of what we were doing. And, he just had a great spirit. And again, I don't want to pretend that I know him well, because I didn't, as you had mentioned, when I arrived, he was no longer president, but, just felt like he had a genuine love and care for people. So, again, just a really, really sad day for the BU family.
Ken Starr with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Mack
Rhoades with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, and also 365 Sports.
Mack, out to Provo for what's going to be the first of many trips as Big 12 foes. I know the results of the game was not what you wanted, but your thoughts on the game in Provo, the fact that this is now a conference game, and something that Baylor fans can go experience now for many years to come.
Yeah, I think, the game itself, we knew it was going to be a battle. I think it was that and more, and very, very physical. Both teams were very physical. Both tried to impose their will. I thought that really good learning experience for our younger players. I think that there were moments and time where you could just see and feel that the atmosphere and the crowd had an impact, a negative impact, and they had a hard time maybe handling it at times. And then I thought there were also some moments where they recovered and played well. So again, disappointing that we walked out of there with a loss, but I also think there's some really, really good moments, for us, both sides of the ball, and it certainly, I feel like we have an opportunity to be a really, really good football team. I think offensively we're still trying to work through, what's our identity this year, and I think we'll get there sooner rather than later. And defensively, I think people are going to have a hard time, running the ball against us. We're going to, have to do probably some different things to get pressure on the quarterback. But, other than the outcome, the score, I thought it was a really good football game for us to play and learn from and grow from. And then, the atmosphere was great. That's got to be one of the the prettier, nicer, stadium settings in the country, and the BYU people were terrific. So, a really, really good experience for all of us. And again, we're going to have to play on the road in tough environments. And I'm glad that, we were able to do that before and have particularly our younger players experience that before we get into conference play.
Mac, I saw the Big 12 put out that the game had 2.4 million viewers, best ESPN late night game rating since 2016. Is that something that you guys pay close attention to? Is that something that matters in the big picture?
Heck yeah, it does when you're in early negotiation with ESPN and Fox. So, we do pay attention to it, and we're certainly proud that we were a part of that. And think about those numbers because that game didn't kick off until 10:15 or 10:20 Eastern, and a lot of people excited about the game, excited about the matchup, and I think they got their money's worth. For it to go into two overtimes and again a physical matchup, a really, really great matchup. So yeah, those numbers matter. They're important, and glad that many people tuned in.
Do you think that it will? Because some of the Pac-12 games that they've had in that time slot are not marquee Pac-12 matchups. Do you think that you guys can maybe be a trailblazer for that 9:15 Central slot being a marquee spot for games?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. I think it certainly can be and could be, and when we think about the future and particularly the right matchups and what does conference membership look like? So all of that, but that could be a really, really positive time slot for us moving forward.
Mac, Brett Yormark, he was in Provo. He's been to Houston. He's been elsewhere. He had the comment last week about looking out west, and of course that stirred a few things up. You just mentioned that in negotiations with ESPN and Fox, and I don't know what the technical term is based on open market, whatever else. How do you think he has handled his first month and 2 weeks on the job with so much going on when he arrived and even before he arrived?
Yeah, I think tremendously well. If I'm grading him, I'd grade him an A+, right? Anytime you're starting a new position and particularly one of this magnitude, you're drinking water out of a fire hose, and then you throw on top of it, the whole conference realignment piece and, USC and UCLA. And then, you also, add in that, he hasn't lived in this space, college athletics. So, I think just as he's balanced everything, the conference membership, what that may or may not look like in the future, the TV piece, the early negotiation with both of our TV partners, going out and meeting and going to the various campuses and hiring staff. I mean, there's been a lot, and I think he's done a tremendous job.
When he set out west, do you think he meant adding someone in the Mountain Time, Pacific Time, or a combination of someone that has both?
I think it's either or both, and I think it remains to be seen. So I don't think it's specifically Mountain or specifically Pacific, but could be one or the other or both, and time will tell.
Mac, this is kind of a random question, but based on some of the teams like Notre Dame, A&M getting upset in guarantee games that they pay for, when you schedule those, is there a nervous level of who are we paying to come in here and play us, and we better not get beat?
Oh yeah, no, that's real. You know, it's real for every athletic director, and you know, those games, you know, quote unquote buy games or games that we're supposed to win, and they're hard. You know, that Appalachian State, you know, team, you know, how they played against North Carolina, and then obviously what they did in College Station. That's a real team now. They're really, really good. And so yeah, I do think, you know, you worry about that. You worry about it, you know, probably, I don't know, maybe even more when you talk about an FCS team, and you know, having to deal with that, and you know, schools have experienced that as well, losing to an FCS team. So no, you worry about it. There's real pressure when you think about it.
Mac, the announcement that came, and we didn't get a chance to visit with you last week, but the college football playoff expansion, although there is still a lot of work to be done, there were actually some comments that were made that perhaps the college presidents were a little bit frustrated with college administrators, athletic administrators, and conference commissioners. Is that the tone that you got by what they decided to do and push this thing forward?
Yeah, maybe, you know, a little bit of, you know, frustration, or, you know, maybe just saying, hey, we're going to press this and take charge. And, you know, we need to expand. We think that, the model that was unveiled, you know, a year and a half ago was carefully, well thought out. And, we need to go, and we need to move. You know, I think that, you know, there's a lot of work, and I know that the CFP is trying to figure out, you know, whether or not this can begin in 24 and 2025, years 11 and 12, or does it have to wait until we begin the new cycle? You know, I would like to think that we'll find a way to go early, you know, whether or not it's 24, as early as 24, but I think there's some momentum to try to do that. And I'm excited about it. So I think it's really good for college football. I think, you know, you're going to have to figure out the schedule, and, you know, do we move the season up a week to accommodate? Do we not? You know, all of that is stuff that's going to need to be worked out, and be worked out fairly quickly. We're going to try to start in 2024.
Mac, do you think that not the New Year's Six bowls, but the other bowls will also be on board with changing their schedule to accommodate the playoff, because they would like to continue to exist?
Yeah, I think they will. I think everybody's, you know, wondering and having that conversation. You know, I think logically, you know, those first round games on campus sites, you know, there's got to be a conversation about what do those look like? Are those kind of home games, so to speak? And so, the home team and they control all the inventory except for X amount of tickets, and for the visiting team, and, is, you know, is that a CFP event? I mean, so I think there's a lot of those details, a ton of those details to be worked out. And I think those bowl games are going to, you know, wait. I don't know. I was going to use the word patiently. I don't know if that's the case, but they're going to wait to see what that looks like. And then, you know, how do we continue to have our bowl games?
Did the college football discussion that did come up, or what they released come up a week or two ago, did that end for now any discussion that people might break away and others might be left behind?
Say that again, Smoke. I'm not sure I followed that.
That's okay. You know, you had heard, and we have discussed that, and you had always said it would not happen. And I don't think it would ever happen either, but this Power Two, or the two conferences, would run a national championship on their own. And it was hey, when Texas OU decided to leave or USC, UCLA, there was like, hey, what about us? Where are we going? You've had to deal with that. Do you feel like the announcement a couple of Fridays ago ended any type of, at least anytime soon, discussion that anyone will be left out or there would be another championship playoff?
Yeah, no, and thank you for asking that again. I wasn't sure where you were headed, but I feel like with the expanded playoff number of teams and access, because I think the access is important. This idea of FBS, splitting into two different divisions, two separate championships. There's been the talk of the Group of Five having their own. I think that goes away. And so I think the expansion probably solidifies, all FBS inclusive, moving forward. So yeah, I think you're right by making that statement.
Mac, thank you very much. We'll see you Saturday. Texas State in town, 11 o'clock kick. Mac Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 360.